Okay, so from farthest to nearest to me, we have Jason Nias, who has been with Digital River for
13.
Can you believe that? I mean, we all know about Digital River. Hard driving place, been there for 13 years. You are now in charge of demand marketing and marketing strategy.
I had a full head of hair when I started. And you can tell I've been there a long time.
All of us, right?
Yeah, welcome to the club, man.
Exactly. To his left is Jeff Dotches. And Jeff is a native Minnesotan from St. Louis Park. And as soon as you graduated, started Razorfish. Maybe a few of you in the internet marketing business have heard of this particular agency. Probably one of the first. I don't know, count on one hand what Razorfish was, probably. And now is founder and CEO of the Dotches Group, based in Austin, Texas. And he's been, I don't know who his PR guy is, but he's been speaking all over the city for the past 48 hours. So we're happy. I think we're the final voyage. Are we not?
The final voyage, yes.
Okay. I hope you have a few words.
The last
for us.
frontier.
All right.
My
good.
voice is still holding up. Yeah.
Jen Swanson, I've known for at least a decade or longer. Jen is now most recently promoted to Director of Operations for Capella. Being an online university, you can imagine there's a lot of data. We have done many projects with Jennifer over the years, and I can tell you we have mashed up data sources that we never thought was possible, right? And she's just very, very focused on how to bring real-world experiences not only to alumni and learners, but to potential learners as well. My old buddy Jim Keene here, former business partner of mine here at Ciceron. He was president from 99 to 98 to 2002, during the great days. .com boom and 9/11.
A lot of success.
That's
We're
right.
really proud of that.
And he's the one who still has his hair. Go figure. Right?
Wait a minute.
Oh, and
still-
you too? Yes,
yeah,
yes,
I
that's
still have my
right.
hair, too.
I didn't expect
Thank
to
you.
lose
That's
hair.
fine.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Jim really leads interactive strategy over at General Mills. We have done some work with him, and he just has his hands in all sorts of different brands. Really, he's a very humble guy, but he really is the go-to person when it comes to interactive over at General Mills. And so I'm very excited to have these four folks on the stage today. And again, interrupt us at any time. Who has the mic? You have the mic yet? Someone does? The mic will be around, so at any time interrupt us. I have some prepared things, but we want this to be lively. Okay, so there's the biggest buzzword probably in marketing right now is big data, right? Lots and lots of talk about it. Potentially a lot of hype around it, but like all things, we're trying to find out what's practical. And I know that we have different points of view about that. There's big data, and then there's just the stuff that's sitting right in front of you. And so I think I'd just like to start a discussion about, first of all, where do we start in all of this? And when we think about the data that's sitting in front of us, and the other thing that I would really love is just sort of real-world examples about how you're applying data these days to making decisions. And I think, Jeff, you have a unique perspective in the fact that you're just sitting right in the idea of big data. And how is that, that sounds intimidating to a lot of people, and should it not be? So I think we'll just let's start with you, Jason, just how you're using you have data from worldwide data from all over the place.
Yep, so Digital River is an outsourced e-commerce provider, and so we have the luxury of sitting on all of the data for all of our accounts across the world, so it's 30,000 some odd accounts. And one of the challenges we have in our account base is using the little data in the appropriate ways to make sure you're optimizing all your demand generation and pulling all that data together. And so before we start to have conversations with our accounts about big data and how you can optimize it, we're really focused on the consumer experience, using that data to drive the right behaviors on the store and the experience to optimize conversion rates, and then subsequently making sure you have the right mechanisms in place to increase your renewal rates. So we at Digital River like to start with the data that's in front of us and making sure they're operating on all cylinders before we start to have the conversations around using big data to do some big things around mining your social influencers and starting to do those things. But so our approach is always to start small and then plan on going bigger with clients over time.
And it sounds like, from your perspective, the front lines is on sort of web usability.
Yeah.
Just getting people through the process better.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So one of the bias I represent is commerce. And so our business model is a revenue share. So largely, we're incented to make sure that as many people go through that experience as possible to obviously further the cause for both companies. And obviously, as big data is related, we want to make sure that we're using it where we can to further that cause.
Jeff, just give us the Wikipedia entry on the brief about what big data actually is. I think there are a lot of people who don't really know. It's a buzzword, but and maybe even if you could talk about it from what does it look like 5 years from now, because right now it's sort of chaotic.
That's a lot of stuff then for the Wikipedia entry.
That's right.
Let me touch on just a couple of things. First and foremost, I got a dog in this race. We run a big data social analytics company. Dotchus Group sells big data social analytics software to big brands. So just to be clear about that, I am biased. We believe that with the, some people have heard me talk about this before, the democratization of the tools of self-expression, the ability for each and every one of us now to share and exchange our ideas in ways that we've really never seen before in the history of mankind because of the smartphone revolution that's going on, because of increased bandwidth ubiquity, because of battery life and increased processing power. We all have the ability to share and connect with each other and express our ideas in ways we've really never seen before. Because of that, we actually are sharing our ideas in ways we've never really seen before, creating a shift from mass communications to a mass of communicators. And with this shift from mass communications to a mass of communicators, we've created this really asynchronous sort of set of huge amounts of unstructured social data that exist in the marketplace right now. And the only way for brands really, or companies really, to take advantage of that is by processing and harnessing the power of all of that unstructured data that exists, all of the conversations, all the engagement, all the check-ins, the tweets, the promoted stories, the posts, the ratings and reviews, the stars, the tips, the pins, all of that stuff that you're doing, the kitty cat photos, the gluten-free cupcake recipes, the fishing photos, all that stuff that everybody's sharing is data, and it exists out there. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why anybody would give a crap about, I had a sandwich. I had a sandwich too. But if on aggregate, all of that data, if you could make some sense of it, would provide an enormous amount of insights for brands and companies to take action on, the things that you talked about before.
Insights you might not have expected.
Correct.
To questions you typically wouldn't answer.
Correct.
Can you give an example?
Go.
Well,
But after
we were meeting with somebody the other day, and they were talking about one of the, let's just say 3M here in town, and they were talking about the idea that 3M thought that they were selling tape rolls and the tape dispensers to people who were basically packing boxes, and they thought that they should basically be marketing at the folks that are packing boxes with this particular kind of tape and this particular kind of dispenser. And what they found through the use of big data, through understanding insights, through conversations that were happening, unstructured conversations that were happening in the marketplace, that actually there were a ton of these, sort of tape rolls and tape dispensers flying off the shelves in certain places that they had no idea as to why that was happening. And what they realized was that there were scrapbooking moms that were just going crazy with this tape and this tape dispenser because it didn't damage the scrapbooking photos that they happened to be, assembling. And what they found out was there's a whole new category of consumer for that particular product, with that particular SKU, that very particular thing that was flying off the shelves because of conversations and insights that they learned from data in the marketplace that they would have never thought of because of the advent of big data.
So, and I want to get back to you, Jim, real quick, but I want to, when we say the difference between small data and big data, are we oftentimes saying that small data is the data that's ours, and big data is the data that's out there?
Well, so let me say, big data is not a thing. Some of you have heard me say this before. You can't go hire the big data guy or whatever. That's not. You don't go do big data. Stop thinking about it that way. It's a cliche already. It's already jumped the shark. Don't think about it in those terms. Big data is really the enormous number huge amounts of unstructured and structured data that exist out in the marketplace that only by using newer technologies like Hadoop and Cassandra and Pig and Uzi and some forms of Apache, et cetera, that you can start to then correlate what used to be silos of data, and is now vast sums of unstructured data into subsets of things that you can derive insights from. And that's the power of big data, the insights that can be derived from the massive quantities of stuff that can now be correlated using computer processing power that we never had before. And it's those unstructured and structured correlations, those multifaceted, non-relational relationships between data sets that you can derive insights from that make the power of big data so exciting. But it's not like a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I?
No, totally right.
And I think that the transformative opportunity for all of us comes when you start thinking about big data, however we want to define it, is a tool to do something else. And so you can look at it and go, all right, what can I do with this thing? And the real transformative effect comes when you have the courage to start challenging your assumptions about what you've always thought, or about what you've always done, or about what you've always believed. Because inside of all of that data, you can find some things that would be challenging and surprising. So this is a teeny tiny little example, but I'll give you one from us. We're a big company, we sell all sorts of food, right? And during the fall season, that's when we sell the most of our soup. We sell Progresso soup, and we market that product throughout the entire year on TV. And we market that product the fall really heavily in digital marketing. And we never really thought about how to flow that marketing dollar. And then we started looking at the data, and we started looking at the search terms, and we started looking at the search traffic, and we started looking at the behavior of people that were opening our emails. And we started correlating a whole bunch of data sets, and we realized that there was a very specific point in the fall where the searches stopped. And so we realized, all right, we should stop advertising. Let's reapportion that advertising into a time when it's really going to work, because clearly nobody gives a crap about soup after this certain point.
Do you know why?
When it picks up again, yeah, I can't tell you why, but I know why. Now, because of the data.
Okay.
But what that allowed us to do is reallocate those marketing dollars into a smarter time so that the spend is more effective, and it also unlocked a ton of really useful creative insights about what the consumer is thinking, about what she's trying to do, and about where she is trying to take her family at a certain time. And that helped us sell the soup much more effectively and be much more efficient about where it places media dollars.
So Jen,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yes,
All because we were willing to say, what is wrong about what we're doing? And
you had to be willing to do that.
And we should challenge everything that we are thinking or assuming, because it might unlock some sort of new insight.
Right. So Jen, I know a lot of the decisions that people make to apply and enroll in Capella are oftentimes very sort of emotional decisions, right? I mean, they're trying to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, get a new start, and all this. So you're not measuring, I mean, you're measuring data, but you're measuring emotions as expressed through data.
Well, and so like back to your question too about big data and little data, that I just read something really sort of turned my understanding of it on its head, that in some regards, big data is the data that companies know about us as consumers, and little data is the data we know about ourselves, but it's the data then that we're sharing with our friends and our family via social media. And I think the opportunity that Jeff's talking about then is how do you harness those two things together, right? But to your point, so yeah, it is emotional. You know, the space I've been kind of dabbling in this is around customer advocacy. So it's, you know, we're not talking, you know, my space isn't out in the funnel. It is actually, you know, after the funnel, right? The customers we already have, trying to figure out who are the people who are most likely to go out and be passionate advocates for us, because that's the impact to the people who are having this very emotional sort of, is it time for me to go back and get the degree I always said I was going to get, to do the thing I always, you know, that I've supported my children in doing and now I need to do too. And where that's coming from is that's coming from word of mouth. So if I know that if I'm a teacher in a middle school in Atlanta, and I know that my best friend and fellow teacher Sue just finished her master's at Capella, she got through, she's got, you know, a mom at home, living at home with her, she's got kids, and if she could get through it, then I can get through it. Those are the advocates we need to activate. And so how we've been looking at it is we know an awful lot about our customers, right? We know, because they're engaging with us 100% online. So we know when they wake up, we know when they go to bed, we know when they post, when they are in chat. But that wasn't enough for us, right? We needed to know more about them. Like, so the people who are our best customers, who did persist, who did graduate, who, you know, engaged with us in certain ways, and we had a great pool of